Let me put it this way, that the National Optical Fiber Network project, which was approved in October 2011, had a clear perspective to take broadband to the panchayats. The idea was that today optical fiber, the medium that takes broadband and is the medium which is recognized all over the world, that in our country has not penetrated well beneath the developmental blocks, about 6,600 developmental blocks. At this point in time, most of the rural areas have what is this old copper wires. So they don't support high speed broadband, maybe up to 512 kbps, yes, supported. But to really have a high speed broadband, you need a better, medium. So the optical fiber cable is necessary. So keeping that in view, the government, on the basis of the TRAI recommendation, said that let an incremental optical fiber be extended from where fiber exists to the Gram Panchayat. Where exists means it could be somewhere in the vicinity of the Gram Panchayat, or it could be in the block, and from where it exists to where. So it's incremental would entail that you optimize on the existing fiber and then you lay additional fiber so that you are able to bridge that last mile gap to reach to the Gram Panchayat. Pilot activities were undertaken before the project was approved, and that gave a projection that you may have to have something like 2 kilometers on an average per Gram Panchayat. So if there are about 2.5 lakh Gram Panchayat, so it gave an indication we may require about 5 lakh kilometers of incremental OFC. However, the exact requirement would be known only when you undertake a detailed survey. So that's it. And fundamentally, it was felt that the e-services, e-learning, telemedicine, e-commerce and e-governance, for all of this to go and have footprint in the panchayat, we need to have a robust backhaul, and that was why the NOFN, Optical Fiber Network project, was conceptualized and approved. Current state of play is that 59 Gram Panchayats in 3 developmental blocks across 3 states have been covered with optical fiber, which ensures 100 megabit per second availability at the Gram Panchayat end. These were in the nature of pilot projects. The 3 developmental blocks chosen were Arain block in Ajmer district of Rajasthan, similarly Parwada block in Visakhapatnam district of Andhra Pradesh, and Pani Sagar block in North Tripura district of Tripura state. Incremental OFC has been laid in all of these, and the pilot projects were completed as of 15th October 2012. Subsequent to that, several applications, e-government applications, have been tested by the Department of IT, wherein working alongside the 3 state governments, government to citizen applications have been taken to almost over 110 institutions. These various categories of institutions would be the Gram Panchayats themselves, schools, hospitals and other government offices. The idea was to pan out the various G2C applications so that high-speed broadband would be tested. The results of the pilot projects are extremely positive, that there is a eagerness among the rural population to avail of the broadband services when they come in high-speed broadband. And so, the learnings from the pilot need to get transmuted onto the main project when the rollout does occur. Let me put it this way. Pilot projects are meant to validate a few assumptions. The assumptions are how to go about the optimal route, how to do the route planning, how to tap the available fiber, and to see that you are able to take it in the least cost, least path method. That having been done, it's a validation of the approach to the planning process and the execution mechanism. Second, the application testing through whatever is the Department of IT's initiative has also given us important lessons as to where we need to take care of the operation and maintenance activities and how we need to have backup power where regular grid power is not available. We had made some assumptions with regard to power availability, but exact power availability according to the 3 pilot locations give us a good understanding of the supplemental solar backup power that needs to be there in order to see that continuous activity could be there at the Gram Panchayat end. We must understand that a nation of 2,50,000 Gram Panchayat has a skewed distribution of power availability across rural areas. Some places do have 24 hours power, but there are many locations which have less than 4 hours or many locations which do not have power. So we have to factor in all the variations that are there in a diverse geographical entity like ours. Coming to your query whether this project is delayed, I would like to submit the project's primary functions of planning have been complete. 2,50,000 Gram Panchayats, the survey work has been nearly complete. We now know the total length that needs to be sort of covered by having incremental OFC. 3 public sector undertakings, BSNL, RailTel and Power Grid, have been entrusted with the implementing function, and BBNL is an SPV, special purpose vehicle, created to be the executing agency. The role of the executing agency is to avail of the funds from USOF and do the master planning in order to get the work implemented through the 3 CPSUs. The reason for choosing these 3 CPSUs is they have experience and expertise in optical fiber cable laying and management. Among the 3 entities, BSNL is the biggest one. It has nearly about 7 lakh kilometers of OFC, and the other 2 entities put together have nearly about 80,000 kilometers. So the 3 put together have a good experience over the last 15-20 years of laying fiber, operating and maintaining fiber. We would be using the backhaul fiber of BSNL, RailTel or Power Grid to see that the incremental OFC is laid. So that requires a great deal of planning and meticulous exercise on the ground. Out of the 2,50,000 Gram Panchayat, over 90 to 95% survey has been completed. Balance is residual which are in hilly terrain, etc. And of this over 2,30,000 Gram Panchayats whose work has been completed of survey, the validation process also of 1,40,000 has been done by BBNL. I would like to state that out of the 6,600 Gram Panchayats in the country, line diagrams, the actual line which indicates how the OFC is set up, of nearly 2,000 blocks has been put on the website of BBNL. Over 3,000 plus blocks has been completed, but 2,000 have been uploaded onto the BBNL. It is the endeavor of BBNL as the SPV, which is the executing agency, to complete the entire 6,600 and put up the line diagram on the website for public viewing, because this will be a very good way in which people will know exactly the distance that will have to be traveled for executing this project. The second aspect I would like to harp upon is that in a public institutional framework, the various tenders have to be invited, and tenders have all in various stages of, I would say, finalization at this point in time. The delay is on account of finalization of tenders. Tender specifications had been drawn up, a lot of discussions had taken place with vendors. Subsequently, in some cases, the receipt of tenders have not been in accordance with the schedule of rates. So, in a public system, we will have to ensure that we get the best rates for executing a public project. I would think that in the course of the next 2 months or so, BBNL and the three CPSUs, BSNL, RailTel and Power Grid, combined would be in a position to come to a degree of finality on decisions relating to the various tenders, etc. And post the finalization, then the work can commence, because then that's the stage one can say the flag off has occurred and the execution takes off in a vigorous manner. Here I would also like to say, going through the motion of this entire activity, we have advised the government that it would be better that this project is implemented in phases. While the government had expected that the project be completed in a 2 years time span, which was by October 2013, given the complex nature of this project and its disparate locations, well, it has been quite an arduous thing to even get by that. More so from the fact that while the pilot projects were completed in October 2012, the response from the telecom sector has been less than, I would say, satisfactory. It's been pretty lukewarm, if one can put it. And we do need to work in close coordination and cooperation with the telecom sector and the ISP to see that the infrastructure so created actually has the requisite impact on the field by people taking out e-services to the consumers. Now, I would like to state that while planning work has been completed in a very succinct manner, the implementation process will commence no sooner as the tenders, etc., are finalized. And I do expect and I'm positive that in the course of the next 2 months or so, tenders could reach a high degree of finalization. In our suggestion to the government, we have said it is better to have this project implemented in 3 phases. Phase 1, about 1 lakh of gram panchayats to be done by April 2014. Phase 2, another lakh by March 2015, and the balance about 50,000 by September 2015. It is important to see that the capability of the 3 CPSUs are also factored in while implementing it. These target dates have been achieved at or arrived at on the basis of discussions with our participating CPSUs, BSNL, RailTel and Power Grid. They have indicated that over the last 15 years, on an annual basis, they have been able to do maximum about 50 to 60,000 kilometers per annum. So, trying to do about 6 lakh kilometers in the 2.5 years time is something we do hope that they, after a detailed survey work and finalization of tender, would be in a position to do it. It may appear on the face of it that the project is delayed. Yes, technically so it is delayed. But operationally, if we do look at it, good planning leads to better implementation. And I think that the first step has been taken in the right direction. So I am confident that no sooner as the tenders are all finalized, I think it augurs well for the execution, because then that becomes a scheduling mechanism. The project management phase will take over from the planning stage. This project has been conceptualized as a participatory project, wherein the participation of the state governments was necessary in the form of free right of way for implementing this project. Free right of way when you did the project at the Gram Panchayat level, taking it from the blocks to the Gram Panchayat. At this point in time, we have entered into what is known as the agreement or MOU for the right of way with several state governments and union territories. Only a few states and union territory are left at this point in time, and we are in continuous engagement to complete the loop as far as the balanced states or union territories are concerned. I would think out of the 28 states and 9 UTs, only about 4 are left out as far as the signing process is concerned. Teledensity, typically if we talk about the rural areas, it's about 41, 42 at this point in time. And the National Telecom Policy lays out that we need to have teledensity of 70 by 2017 and 100 by 2020. Now there are two factors to this thing. One is commercial considerations impede the various telecom service providers or licensed service providers from moving into areas which are deemed as rural and remote. The role of the Universal Service Obligation Fund is to step in where market mechanisms do not penetrate. And this is where we from the USOF have embarked upon a program to cover the remaining uncovered villages. Earlier on, sometime in 2007, the USOF had embarked on an activity to cover quite a few of the uncovered villages, and about 7,250 odd mobile towers with 3 BTS of per tower was the design thing. So in that manner, about 7,250 towers have been set up by the USOF for the last several years, and more than 16,000 BTS have been set up on this 7,000 plus mobile towers. That has made quite a foray into the rural area. In a sense, the rural coverage permeates into new areas and allows new customers to come into the fold. The second aspect is that we would be trying to look at the coverage of uncovered areas. As of now, 90% of the villages in the country do have some modicum of mobile coverage, more so the voice or 2G coverage. The balance, the USOF has prepared a project through the cooperation of CDOT, and we do expect to see that over the course of the next several months, we create a project report to take the approval of the government, because then it will enable or facilitate the setting up of mobile towers in these uncovered areas. As a first step in this direction, we are targeting the coverage of the northeastern states, and this is based on some of the recommendations of TRAI, the regulatory body, which has made out a special recommendations for the northeastern states. So that would be a focus area. Also, quite recently, USOF has obtained the cabinet approval for coverage in 9 states in the left-wing extremist affected areas. So 2,200 towers are to be set up by BSNL in these locations, and BSNL has begun the process of inviting the tenders, and they are going through the throes of finalizing the tenders, etc. I do hope that over a year plus we will be able to see that the communication starved areas in the left-wing extremist affected districts of several states would have the services of communication through the aegis of BSNL. In a similar manner, the uncovered villages, which I did refer to, we would, in the span of the next 2 years after the approval of the project, be in a position. All of this will go to provide new areas of geographical coverage, and that will bring those citizens living in those rural areas into the fold of mobile or voice users. That is a way of increasing the teledensity. The second is that the further improvement in the services by the telcos will ensure that the grey areas where, while there may be a modicum of telecom services, but there is a drop in the call, I think that also can be improved by their expanding and enhancing the telecom coverage. So hand in hand through the commercial activity and the non-commercial or the viability gap funded mechanism of the USO, the two will ensure coverage in the sense of a area coverage. Competitive tariff is one thing that will definitely keep the pressure on, and I am sure that we are witnessing what's called the spurt or growth in the mobile usage. Costs of the individual handsets are also dropping down. The basic sets are available today at 1,000 rupees. Smartphones would also be available at sub 5,000 rupees. I think that all of them will have a bearing. While this talks about the 2G coverage, the 3G is also an important factor that needs to be taken into account. On the 3G side, we have to see that the rollout obligations by those service providers who have obtained the license, they need to complete the rollout. The rollout obligation, since they paid the license fees, etc. in 2010, the rollout should be completed in a span of 5 years. I am sure that while many have not yet embarked upon the rollout, they will be doing so in 2014 and 15, so that the time frame given by government is adhered to. All of this will go in a cogent manner to enhance the coverage and see to it that high fidelity is available in the rural areas. So these would augur well for the teledensity improvement. Underutilization is an observation that would definitely emanate on the amount of balance that is there on a given date. Let's put it this way, that as on 1/4/2013, the notional balance of the USO fund is something like 28,000 crores. The more important thing that needs to be addressed is, does the USOF administration have schemes on hand to utilize the fund? I think that's the next question. As I said, that we are in the early days of the implementation of the National Optical Fiber Network. That in itself is a primary projection of something like 20,000 crores. But given the fact that the original estimate of 5 lakh kilometers would now actually translate itself into 6 lakh kilometers, it's a 20% increase per se. Now, the estimates that have been taken in 2010 while making out the project report may undergo a little variation due to time factor. So I would like to think that the significant portion of the USO fund would be utilized by the NOFN over the next 2 to 2.5 years. That may be in the region of 25,000 plus crores if that is the projections as on date. The second is with regard to the left-wing extremist affected areas where the BSNL would be implementing the project for 2200 towers. The total project approved cost is about 3,000 plus crores, of which 1,500 is for capex and the balance is for OPEX over a 5-year period. So I would think that the capex of 1,500 crore would be utilized over the next year plus. The third activity that we would be embarking upon is the uncovered villages. The uncovered villages at this point in time are nearly well over 50,000 villages. So while we have in the first instance got a report from CDOT for about 42,000 villages, we are in the throes of taking it through phases. That the tranche 1 we go through the northeastern states, and then the balance would be covered in the next tranche. So I would think that both the any region villages uncovered and the balance of the uncovered villages across the country would also require a fair degree of amount. I do not have the initial estimates, but my guess is that it will be well over 3 to 4,000 crores for coverage of these villages on a pure viability gap model. The model is based on the premise that those who go to these respective areas will ask for viability gap to actually set up the towers in that particular locations. So this is my estimation at this point in time. We have if you can look at it, the total amount or notional balance is on 1/4/2013, 28,000 crores. Sort of looked at if the projects on hand are to be fully implemented, the approvals for that are nearly equal to the available notional balance. On an annual basis, we will be having accruals of over 6,000 crores. And the USOF is a dynamic institution which over time will have to look at several new activities. I would like to look at the whole USOF agenda in three broad, if I can say, framework. Part 1 would be to improve the tele density, so that the NTP target of taking rural tele density from the current 41, 42 to 70 by 2017 and 100 by 2020 is quite a challenge in itself. So that would become the first priority. The second priority is in the area of broadband connection or broadband penetration. We are at a very low usage level of broadband, 15 million connections, and the government under the NTP has fixed a target of 175 million by 2017 and 600 million by 2020 as the desirable objective or targets to be achieved. It is quite an ambitious target, but the combined efforts of the telecom industry and the USOF should try to take things there. It's not just infrastructure like the NOFN, which is a basic infrastructure, but maybe at a later stage we will have to come on with add-on infrastructure or maybe some other additional application activities to see that the broadband is extended. And the third area that I think will fall into the realm of USOF will be the green telecom. Quite a number of initiatives have begun by the telecom sector, and I am aware that more than 1,000 towers have been taken up by the Telecom Industry Association themselves for greening of these things. USOF itself had embarked upon some pilot projects like 20 towers, but they are very minuscule in number. And we may go in for the next stage of providing green telecom to at least the earlier USO funded towers in a small way to add to the, I would say, impetus towards green telecom. All these are initiatives that are on the anvil, and once they reach a degree of maturity, then the focus shifts to funding these type of activity. So I would place the highest priority on rural teledensity, the second on broadband, and the third in the list of priorities would be green telecom. I think over the next few years, we do have our charter very clear, and to reach those levels of attainment as enunciated in the National Telecom Policy and the TRI stipulations would be the guiding stone or philosophy for USOF. I would like to shift this thing into a thing. The broadband ecosystem has a number of components to it. I would like to call it the 5C syndrome. The 5C syndrome comprises primarily of C for connectivity, the first C, which is to be addressed through the instrumentality of the National Optical Fiber Network and the towers. So the symbiotic relationship between the terminal of the NOFN, which brings broadband to the Gram Panchayat, and the towers, which will be the last mile, would provide the high degree of spread and coverage to the rural areas, because the future is in mobile broadband. So I think that's the first thing, is the connectivity. The second C would be cost of devices. Unless and until devices where people access the internet are highly affordable, I think the growth of broadband will be impeded. So the electronic industry needs to look upon it as an opportunity, that while the telecom sector infrastructure of NOFN is on the anvil, they need to have their play in position, that devices are there in the country for the common people to purchase. The range between 3 to 5,000 rupees being, to my mind, the best bet for the growth of broadband. The third would be what I would like to call as competitive tariff. In the voice sector, we have been used to very competitive tariff by all the telcos. In a similar vein, we need to have competitive tariff in the data sector. We have seen the voice sector grow from a few million to 800-900 million. The broadband sector will take a much longer time to reach that thing. But from 15 million to attain 175 million in the first instance itself is a quantum jump. Once you achieve that quantum jump, moving from 175 to 600 should be easier. I would think that competitive tariff aligned with cost of device will be a key factor into the growth. The fourth C that I would like to emphasize is content. Voice sector growth was pretty natural to us, as we had a penchant to speak. But the data sector, what utility does it have if I access the internet? Unless the content on the internet is not of use to me directly. Internet is pretty much Anglo-centric at this point in time. I would think, unless and until the content on the internet is in multilingual format, available to all citizens, and not just text-based, but animation and gaming, video, and voice also, I think it would be pretty boring for the user. We are an oral society, and pretty much we need to recognize that the voice revolution should be used by the data segment to actually ensure that broadband is provided in the appropriate format with the appropriate content. I think this is a huge challenge for the IT sector. The telecom sector has a challenge for connectivity and competitive tariff. The electronic sector has an important challenge with regard to the cost of devices being very affordable. The IT sector has a huge challenge to see that the content is available in a very nutritive format, if I can use the word, because that's how it can be consumed. So in a nutritive format. And I would like to add to it computer literacy. So we ought to see that the literacy levels and computer literacy are also go hand in hand, because there should be a pull-in from the consumer for e-services, for which a modicum of computer literacy definitely does have. So I would like to reiterate the 5C syndrome: the connectivity factor, cost of devices, content, competitive tariff, and computer literacy. All of them, when stuck like a glue, will ensure that the broadband growth is there. So I think the right broadband ecosystem can emerge through that.
But any tentative year or month?
Well, let me put it that the connectivity can come about by 2015. But if you really ask me by when we are going to see a real spike in broadband, I think it will be 2016 to 2019. This is my projection, because unless the infra is in place, nothing else will take place. So I think the infra may take till 2015 on account of three factors. NOFN rollout may occur by 2015. Your 3G and BW rollout are also likely, because that's the terminal year for their rollout obligation. And you also have to see it in tandem with the I&B sector, where quite a lot of penetration will occur to the rural areas by 2050. This will form the bulwark or the framework on which the thing can capitalize.